From the early days of my childhood, I was always the mischievous one, the naughty kid. That's me on the left with my grandmother. Don't I already look like a naughty kid right there? The height of my childlike mischief came when I went inside my uncle's car, took the car keys, got in, and set about to figure out what would happen if I locked it while I was inside. So I left the keys inside the car, and then I got out. Cars definitely have a failsafe against that, I figured. But guess what? In the early 2000s, that definitely wasn't true. And my relatives had to comb through the house to find the spare key. Now, the catch was that this car was blocking everybody else from leaving. So in other words, I held my relatives at ransom. Note to self, cars should have a feature that prevents this from happening. Anyway, today I'm an innovation consultant that just loves building cool, impact-driven products. And I have a sort of love for user experience and different perspectives. Speaking of which, a couple of weeks ago, I started growing curious about how mischief is perceived. I learned that it was twofold. Like most kids, I just wanted attention, but I was also a rebel. But on the other side of it, I was just curious all the time. If I saw a screw, I wanted to unscrew it. If I saw a container, I wanted to poke holes in it. And if I ever heard you're not allowed to do it, boy oh boy did I want to do it. To me, mischief is creativity driven by curiosity. But here's the catch. The general perspective towards mischief is that it's part of being a kid, but more often than not, it's perceived as behavior that needs to be corrected. After all, if we allow kids to run wild all over the place, then how are they ever going to grow up to become a productive member of society? Right? Right? So, if mischief is creativity in disguise, then let's explore the types of creativity first. There are simply two types, positive and negative. Kids often are embedded with positive creativity. They're driven by their curiosity about the world they were born into. What happens if I put my hand in the flame? What happens if I push the big red button? What happens when I place toothpicks on the carpet to field test my family protection system? Spoiler alert, the last one is not particularly smart, as my mom's surgeon would testify to. But as much as creativity tends to be seen positively, creativity can also be negative. In order to get around rules, security frameworks, and structure, you need to be creative. You need to be able to step into the shoes of those who built these systems. You have to analyze, manipulate, and understand how to exploit in order to get what you want. So what differentiates positive and negative creativity? To me, there are two key factors and two key differences. One, the motivation behind it. And two, the kind of outcome you hope for. Let me take a shot at what you're thinking right now. So if kids are exhibiting positive creativity in their mischief, then why are we correcting them and scolding them to live within the lines? Here's why. The creativity that they exhibit is positive, but the result of that creativity can be less than positive. And as seasoned adults, we tend to base our judgment on the end result, not the process as much. And you know what the weird bit is? That's also one of my key learnings from my tenure in the field of innovation. Everyone tends to be so focused on the end result that most of us tend to fast track the process so that we can get to that end result as soon as possible. Now, I'm not claiming that the result isn't important. It definitely is. But the process is significantly more important, because the process of getting to any kind of result requires deep analysis, critical thinking, and so much thought. Our undying loyalty to the end result tends to betray us because it holds us back from seeing new solutions. It holds us back from running experiments, from learning, and at the end of it, it keeps us from being innovative. This is where kids excel. They aren't always driven by end goals. They're driven by their curiosity. Let's explore a simple example together, shall we? There exists an extremely complex machine in today's world, one that has a place in almost every household in the modern world. It's a machine that we use almost every day and has improved life significantly. I'm talking about the microwave. What is less known is that the microwave was an accidental discovery. Percy Spencer noticed that microwaves from an active radar set he was working on melted the chocolate bar he had in his pocket. So microwaves were discovered thanks to process-driven curiosity. So let's recap. Mischief is positive creativity in disguise. Good mischief is driven by curiosity and the motivation to explore and learn. Bad mischief is when creativity is motivated by malicious intent. What is the similarity between innovation and mischief? I personally see being innovative as holding the ability to step into the unknown in a structured manner that allows for a lot of learning. Innovation is fueled by curiosity, much like mischief. Mischief is often construed to be random acts, but they seldom are. Mischief requires structure, planning, timing, courage, above all else. I like to look at my work from behind a mischievous lens. It helps me see all the opportunity that I couldn't see when I was thinking conventionally. I encourage you to try it. If you have to find a solution to something, think about it as if it was going to be the greatest prank ever, and that they'll never see it coming, and you're sure to come upon a solution you would have never seen otherwise. So, mischief is a combination of curiousness and being rebellious. Innovation is a combination of being curious and being rebellious. So, who are the problem solvers? Simple. They're just curious rebels. The problem solvers of tomorrow are who we call the mischievous innovators of today. I strongly believe that mischief and curiosity is part of every one of us. It's just that we are rigorously taught to live within the lines and to not break the rules, which ultimately tends to make us risk-averse and rule-driven. After all, that's what a productive member of society looks like today. But tomorrow demands change, and change is driven by curiosity and the ability to think outside the box, to be a problem solver. It is slowly becoming our responsibility to nurture the generation of tomorrow. And my plea to you is to nurture mischief in the future generation. Guide their curious energy. Instead of scolding them, nurture their ability to think differently than the rest of the world, to think differently than you or me. After all, how can we expect someone to think outside the box when what we've been taught all our life is to live in the box? Thank you.